All right, welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to do some vibe coding. I guess that's the word that we're going to use because I'm going to be using Cursor AI, and I'm going to be making changes to my application. I was creating a series of videos talking about this app that I'm building for my personal use, a social media content management app where I want to keep track of the stuff that I'm doing in social media and on YouTube. So this is the app that I've created. If it's the first time you're watching this, watch the first two videos that I've created an update up to here. This is the first time I'm actually recording live as I'm making changes. So what I want to do today is I want to fix some bugs, and I'm here in Cursor, and I took a couple of notes which bugs that I want to fix. Now the plan for this video is really not to edit it, maybe take out like the silent parts or something, some really lightweight editing. So it's kind of like a behind the scenes type of video. So hopefully you don't get annoyed that with a lot of errors and really not very polished video, right? This is like real engineering stuff that I'm trying to show here. All right, so the first bug I want to fix, in fact, it could be a feature, it depends on how you look at it, but here when I have titles that are really long, I want to be able to expand it. I'm tired of like having to scroll like this. I have to highlight it to see what the whole thing is, and I like to start like that, the way it is, because if everything fits on the screen, but I want to be able to expand it to the right and to the left and see the whole thing. All right, so I'm going to tell Cursor to do just that. And now I just installed Whisper Flow, which allows you to basically transcribe everything you're saying. So instead of typing, I heard about this app Whisper Flow a lot, and I finally decided to use it. I use the one that's built into a Mac, a dictation, accessibility tool. But with my accent, man, that thing doesn't get me at all, right? Well, it's okay, it's decent, but I figured out this is nice. I only tried it for like 5 minutes, but it seems like nice. So I'm going to try that. All right, so let's make an update where the front end, the title for the internal title is expandable, or I can stretch it to the right because the long titles are cut off and I want to be able to see the whole thing. So add something so I can stretch it. Maybe add it to the header so everything stretched at the same time. I don't have to stretch every line one at a time. So this will be a change in the front end. All right, let's see. I'm just going to test it. I have it on auto. I was playing with GPT-5, came out, and it's too slow because it's doing a lot of thinking, and for this coding thing, it was really slow, and I'm doing really basic stuff, so I don't think I need that power to be able to, use it, the patience, especially when I'm recording. Another thing I noticed is, let's see, like one thing cool about the new thing with Cursor, if you've been using to Cursor, all the files that changed are here. Once I accept all the changes, that would disappear. I really like it because what happens is there'll be a lot of changes from like 2 hours ago, and if I want to see which file is changed, I have to go search for it. Like there's a dot in front of it, so it was really annoying and there's no way to clear it. But now it looks like once we accept it, everything is gone. So the only thing you see here are something that changed. So it looks like this is a new update. I updated it yesterday. So we'll see how it goes. Like I said, this is live. Well, it's recorded, but it is live. I'm recording as is, and I'm just going to ship it as is. So let's see, it's taking, I thought it would be a very small change. It's taking its time and making changes, changing a lot of things. So we're just going to wait for it. So one of the editing I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep silent, and when the bars, when you edit, you can see the sound. So I'm just going to go to the silent parts, and I'm just going to either cut them out or speed them up. That's really how I'm planning, because I don't want to invest time. Like a 10-minute video will take about additional 20-30 minutes to edit normally. So I'd rather be making videos and I'd rather be teaching than editing. So that's my plan. So I'm going to stop right now. I'm going to keep silent so I can just cut it out or speed it up. I typically don't read everything it's doing because it's explaining what it's doing. I'll read it when I have issues, when it's not doing what it's supposed to do, or whatever it's doing is not working and things like that. But that is way too much. It defeats the purpose of being able to code really quickly. In terms of reviewing, I review some things, I don't review some things, especially CSS, JavaScript stuff. I don't review it as much. As long as it works, I'm good with it. When I create a pull request, I scan it. Sometimes I ask the AI itself to look for like security issues. That's really the one thing I'm concerned about, because in terms of functionality, I've always tested. I have tests. So far, I don't have tests for the front end. I'll talk about that later why. But for the back end, I have tests. So I rely on that. But in terms of security, I don't have any like security scanning or anything. So I let the AI do a quick analysis of if there are any security risks. Other than that, it is too much to read everything. All right, so it is done. Before I accept all the changes, when we can quickly look at it, what it's doing, it looks like it's making a lot of changes. So the thing about reading HTML and trying to understand it is it uses a lot of classes. So now you have to go and try to understand what those classes are. So me, in my position, or in my opinion, I don't think it's worth the investment to go understand exactly what those classes, how those classes are applied. As long as I know there's no like JavaScript stuff that's changed here and the UI works, I think that's good enough for me, right? It's changing all the table headers here and basically change the style. So put the style on top, I guess. All right, so we can look at that. We can just accept this particular part. So we can accept this. Now that file is gone. You see how when I accepted that file is gone? I love this. This is an awesome change that Cursor did. Was one of the annoying things that was happening. So there is a CSS again. I'm not even going to review that. By the way, I don't have to accept it before I check it. This actually is already applied. What this allows me to do is reject it if I wanted to. All right. So in the app JavaScript stuff, this is the more interesting. This is where security stuff can come because JavaScript is actually like more code than CSS and HTML. I'm sure there's issues with CSS and HTML, but JavaScript definitely could have issues. So we could read every single thing, but definitely not for this video. And I don't, honestly, being transparent, I don't read every single thing that's happening with the JavaScript. I do scan it, to see if it's making an API call that's unnecessary or something like that. All right, so let's go back to the UI and refresh the page. And let's see what happens. Totally not working. Drag the right edge to resize the table width. So it made, yeah, it doesn't work at all. Oh, nope, that's, man, look at it. I grabbed this thing here and I mean, nothing works. We set widths, not. So I'm going to say, no, you should have clarified with me before you made all those changes, but it looks like you made the entire table expandable, but I only asked for each column to be expandable. If possible, each column, if not just the internal title column. Right now you made the entire table expandable. I don't want that. And even the way you have it, it doesn't work. You added like a header thing to be able to expand it. That doesn't work. The separate thing is clutter on the page and it's not lined up with the table anyways. So what you implemented is totally wrong. Rethink the whole thing and make sure each column individually can be expanded. There you go. It typed everything. So for typing it, I'm holding a hotkey. I can also just hit two keys and I just talk and then I hit a key to stop it. But the way I have it configured right now, I'll be pressing on a hotkey and I let it go. A lot of times also what I do is while it's doing its thing, I actually have something else on a different browser. Like for me to sit here and just wait for it and just watch it, I get a little annoyed. So I usually have something else I'm working on. So I have 3 monitors, the laptop and 2 monitors. And I usually have something like my browser open in this other monitor while this is doing its thing. I actually go and look something up or I just do something else. So that's an advice. If you're actually doing stuff, I don't think it makes sense to sit here. Sometimes it will take like a whole minute. In a whole minute, I can look up something. Absolutely. I could look up something, I could respond to an email. Yeah, of course, I get distracted and I come back and then I stay there longer than I need to, of course, but overall, I think I'm more efficient than to just sit here and just watch it. I have no interest in that and I don't find it fun at all. That's what I do typically. So it's making a lot of changes. I feel like when it's doing too many things for a small change like that, most likely it's messing up, right? So we'll see. Sometimes what I found is like I go back and forth with it a lot and then still doesn't solve it. So instead of auto, I will use GPT-4. I feel like GPT-4 seems to work for me much better. I know everybody have different opinions and there's data that shows otherwise, but it works. But usually I leave it as auto. And when I leave it on GPT-4, after I use it for a while, like an hour or something, we start to complain saying, hey, using this one too much, try to use auto so we can optimize. That is Cursor complaining. Okay, it is done. It's been 10 minutes so far. I'm sure that with editing, it's going to be a little bit faster. Let's see. We're going to refresh it. That was a terrible thing it did. Okay, this makes more sense. We see the lines and okay. It's not expandable. Good. That's because it would make sense. All right. I see the lines, but it's not being expanded. Right. I can highlight it. Yeah. Okay. And it's going to be in the header. That's good. I like the header. I don't like the fact that it's taking too much space. It's too wide. Oh, it's because of this guy here. So we can change the wording here, make it better. So, all right, let's see. So the HTML looks fine. It's most likely the JavaScript that's messing up. So let's look at the console if there's any errors. There are. And it really helps to give this error to Cursor. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste that. And I'm going to say the lines to expand are showing up. When I hover my mouse over it, I see it lighting up, but it doesn't actually expand. And in the console, I see the error that I just provided. All right, there we go. So it really does help because right now I can just come back and tell it doesn't work. So it's going to have to figure out what is not working, right? But if you give it the error, the exact error, then it's going to be able to figure out much, much faster. It's the same thing where my students will send me a message saying, hey, it's not working. I'm like, Okay, like what do you want me to do? Like it's not working is not going to tell me anything. What's not working? What is the error? Can you share a screenshot? So 100% of the time I ask my students to share a screenshot of whatever they're seeing, the error they're seeing. When I see the whole context, I see the terminal and the code, everything that's happening in a screenshot, there's a much better chance I can solve it within the first response. I can just look at it and see what happens. So if you are taking courses and things like that, and something doesn't work the way you expect it to work, you want to ask the instructor it's not working. Like, it's not working could mean a million different things. So first, if you can, add a screenshot. Just share a screenshot and be like, hey, this is what's happening, because she can see the exact error on the screenshot. If for some reason you can't do that, then explain what's happening. I did this and this happened. I did this and this kind of error happened. That's going to tell what happens. Here, for example, uncaught reference is resized as defined. We're trying to call some function here that doesn't exist, right? So cursor is going to be like, how come this doesn't exist? Is this a custom function that we're supposed to write, or is it something, that's supposed to exist? Is resizing true? Okay, it's not even a function, it's just a variable set to true, but for some reason there is something wrong with this. I actually don't know what's wrong with that. That looks fine to me. All right, let cursor figure it out, and we're going to just minimize this thing here a little bit and refresh. Voila, there you go. Pretty sweet. This is exactly what I wanted. I can expand it. It's not doing it here too. That's nice, because that wouldn't make sense. And everything else, it does. So one thing is when I expand this, the other ones are kind of like collapsing, but I think that's okay. Later on, maybe like a production ready app, I'll probably worry about that, but right now I'm not going to worry. But if I refresh, goes away, it doesn't go away. That is a nice thing. That is absolutely a nice thing. So if I expand it and if I refresh, it stays there. If I add a content, let's say I'm going to add some garbage here. I think this is required. This is required. Let me draft and save it. It adds a new stuff, still expanded. That is awesome. All right, perfect. That is done. So let's fix something else. So here, one thing also as a developer is usually it's a good idea to make a commit. I'm not going to do it on this video, maybe on future videos I should do that. There's a lot of changes already, right? So first of all, I should accept all. I can look at the JavaScript a little bit, just review the JavaScript. This is just defining variables. And let's see here, it's calling a function right there, a brand new function. So I don't see it making any API calls or anything like that. So seems cool. I'm going to do the formal review later. I'm just going to do keep all, and both those two I'm just going to keep, right? Now, the good practice will be to check it in. So if I do git status, I can see those things are changed. So now the next thing I'm going to ask it to do, it might break the existing things. So if I check it in and, cursor goes haywire, I can just revert to the previous working condition. I learned that the hard way, right? Everything's working good. I'm like, okay, let's work on the next thing. And the next thing is basically something big, and it just keeps making changes, and totally broke the whole application. And just trying to fix it was a nightmare. Then I realized, I'm like, man, like the last time it actually worked, I should have checked the code in so I can just revert to that commit. So here we can just commit that. So I'm going to tell it to do it too. So I'm going to say, let's create a branch and commit the changes so far. Call the branch code fix with the date, like that. Again, I should not have typed, because Whisper is totally new to me and still getting used to it, still trying to remember to use it. So it's asking me to run. You can have it on auto run. Every command will just automatically run it, like the YOLO mode, right? You only live once, but nope. I only live once, but I want to make sure the crazy stuff doesn't happen. Like, it's always risky when you let it just run commands. So I've done it before. It's actually pretty nice. You could just watch it and do everything. But right now, I like the fact that every command is going to run. I'm going to, accept it. I'm going to look at it. So right now it's checking out, creating a brand new branch locally, code fix, blah, blah. All right, I'm going to run that. And it's doing git add the 3 files. All right, I'm going to run that. Should do a git push. It's doing a commit, actually. A commit. What I like about having cursor do the commit instead of me doing the commit is the commit messages, because it's going to add a lot of detailed messages. If I was to do, there's no way I'll type this, right? I'm just going to type something like fix a bug, or I expanded, or something like that. But when cursor does it, it's going to add a whole lot of message. So I really like that part, actually. Especially if it's going to be a public repository eventually or something like that. People are going to look at it. Let me see. Let me verify the commit is created successfully. Okay, go ahead. It's checking. I usually manually won't do that. It's not pushing it. Let's push it. We don't really have to push it. Actually, that's fine. Let's just go to the next. Because it's already committed. We can revert to that commit at any time, whenever we want to. All right, so number of deployments not displayed. Okay, so this is this bug here. So if I have a deployment, if you remember what a deployment is, I have an item, right? I have a video. Let's look at a video that is finalized, right? Oops, looking for this status here. Smaller, make this bigger. So when you look at a video that's finalized, that's the actual asset, right? The video is created, ready to be published. So when I publish it, it says a short video. I'm going to publish to TikTok. I'm going to publish to YouTube. So I'm going to hit the drop down here. I'm going to create deployments. A deployment is when you take that and deploy it. A little bit more technical. And I could have just said post. So we have 2 deployments for this video, but when I expand it, it shows 2. Before I expand it, now it shows 2. Like look at this one here. It says 0. As soon as I expand it, it shows 2. So that is a problem. That is a bug. I do want to fix it. So the deployment column on the UI is showing 0 until I expand the row or I expand the item. But right when I expand the item, then it actually shows the correct number, how many deployments there are. So at page load, it should show the number of deployments without me having to expand every single row. So implement that fix. All right, send it. All right, so let's see. I'm thinking it's going to be easier. I'm sure the API already has that information. It's the front end that's making a mistake. I don't think it needs to modify the API, but it's researching that, right? Does the API already gives you information about it or not? So let's see, content.py. It is actually making updates to the backend. So maybe the API doesn't do it. So when we hit expand, maybe we're making an API call. That's interesting. I did not pay attention to that. So let's look at this network tab. And I'm going to clear it while it's doing this thing. And I want to see, let's see, I expand. Oh yeah, every time I expand, it's making an API call to a deployment API, right? I cleared this. Let's go here. Let me show you this. Okay, I need something that's finalized. When I hit expand, I was expecting it's doing JavaScript. It's already loaded it. There's an advantage in that. All right, it's making an API call to the deployments API. Now, the good thing is that means the deployments are not loaded. So the first time the page loads, it's much faster and the deployments are loaded as we need it. So whenever I expand, it makes an API call, get this stuff. This is all localhost, so it's really fast. In production environment, we'll have to do a load testing on it because for every time you expand, it's going to make an API call, then there's going to be that kind of a little bit of a latency. Maybe it's worth it. Maybe that's the right thing to do instead of loading everything at the first time, because the first time you load, the page load speed is going to be affected. One thing you can do though is the first time you load, you just load the HTML, the main part, but in the background, you can load everything else, just not show it. That will make it even faster. So that's something for the future. All right, so I just learned something about my own app that I did not pay attention to before. So let's see, what is it doing? CD backend. Why is it running it? Now let me test the changes by running backend to make sure. Well, okay, run the script, but that doesn't make sense. Why are you running the script? I was just running Python because I'm not using virtual environment. So I'm going to say you have to use virtual environment when you're running it. There is a virtual environment in the backend folder, and also the service is running. So don't try to start the service to test something, just make an API call. So see how it's running Python on my machine, on my Mac. When I say Python, it runs the default Python, which is Python 2, and also doesn't have all the dependencies and everything. So I'm just going to let it know. I'm going to send that. That will interrupt it, but it is smart enough to know that, oh, I just got interrupted, and I'll just continue from where I was. Now, this is what I wanted to do. The app is running already, so instead of running the script, it's going to make the API call. It's going to do a curl call, and it's going to see if the response looks what it wants. It's making a bunch of calls, right? Making sure it's running, it's doing different kind of calls. I'm not even looking at what it's doing. Let's make an API call and checking the response. And this is really cool too. On the command line, when you make an API call, let me show you. I'm going to take this. Open terminal, or I can just stay here, open a terminal. And when you make an API call, a curl call, you can print it as JSON. I used to use this a lot on my job. So I have to go to a server to make an API call to production environments. So in the terminal, being able to see this is so awesome. If you don't have this last part, the pipe to Python, it's not going to be, I don't think I can delete it like that. It's not going to be JSON prettified. So anyways, you know what I mean. I'm sure you made a curl call from the terminal, but pipe, Python, JSON.tool. It makes a huge difference when you're working on the terminal. It's a little tip. Actually, I should create a quick YouTube video on that, a short one. All right, so it's testing it and it's going to keep going. It's taking a little longer than normal. I don't know why it would take this long right now. I've seen this before. What I've done when this happens, I'll be like, are you stuck? I don't know if I'm being impatient, but normally it shows you what it's doing. So, and right now it's not showing me what it's doing, and it's been a while doing like that. So let's just send that message and let's see what's going on. Of course, I decided to pause the recording, and as soon as I paused, it sped out the next item. No luck, just not stuck, blah, blah. All right, still making API calls. This is the kind of thing when it's like on auto, it will just make an API call, check the result, analyze it, keep going, keep going. I like it in that term. So it's doing a lot of changes to the API. I did not expect that. Again, I did not look into it. I was thinking the API would probably just update the query because it's two different tables. There is a table for the items and there's a table for the deployments. So I was thinking all it has to do is, just update the query, we'll get all the deployments. Maybe I should have gave it that hint. That's the thing. That's the thing with the vibe coding, right? The more hint you give it, the better, right? Especially if you have experience. If you never coded, you can't even think those things. But if you have experience, it's much better to just let it know what it's doing. Still getting 0. I think the response is not giving it what it wants. Okay, by user ID. I have user IDs in there because just in the future, right, if I convert this into like a SaaS or something that other people can use, I already planned for that. I have user IDs so we can have different data, different items for different people, different users. All right, it says excellent. I always like to see that. That means something worked. We're going to do run. Just making sure the front end is up. Why is it trying to check who's using the port? Well, the front end is using a different port. Again, like I said, the app is running. The app is already running both the front end and the front end is running on 5001. So you don't need to restart the app or start the app. There you go. I see that it does that a lot. For some reason, it assumes it needs to start the app. But the app is running. I have the back end right here, the front end right here. They're both running. So it needs to just make an API call. So here it's doing it correct. It's making an API call to the homepage and analyzing the HTML. It gets the HTML. It's AI, can read it. So let's see, it's greping something. Perfect, the back end, run. We can see what's happening in the front end. Sometimes you come here and the page is blank. Okay, I see. Oh, it might be working, right? This one says 1. There you go. There's 1 deployment. Actually, it is working. So we're going to let it continue testing. I think it's done. All right. So let's see. There you go. Everything says 0. All the recorded ones, of course, they don't have no deployments. This one is 2. So let's check. One has 2. Yep. 2. Those actually, this is like for today. This ones are 2. All right. So it is working. It is good. So 2 bugs down. So, okay. It is working. I can quickly check. So front end stuff, I don't really need to bother very much. I'm sure it's minimal changes. One thing I hate is trying to get to where the changes is. Okay, content ID. What changed? Scroll a little bit. Okay, content deployment count. Yeah, see, it was hard coded to 0 before. Oh, wow, okay. Now it's actually getting it from the variable or from the object. Okay, that one is done. App.js, it's deployment. Okay, this is just adding the ID based on the content ID. All right, so content.py, that's a lot of changes here. So this is a schema. This is the API schema. Okay, just adding a new field. See what else is going on. Description response. Okay, just a whole new object. All right, so a lot of code changes here. So I'm just going to accept this. I'm going to commit this and pretty much done. I don't think I need that on the video. So 2 bugs fixed and we got a few more. So I think this video is like quite long. So I'm just stop this and keep working on it and create a second video for the vibe coding. So hopefully you enjoy things like this. I really want to know, like, do I need to do this? This is very fun for me to do because I'm sharing my experience as I'm building it. I'm just sharing that, showing you how I'm building this little thing. This app, I want to build it just for personal use for now. And I have another app, like QA related app, test case management and all of that. And I'll start a series on that very soon. I didn't even start the app yet. So hopefully you enjoy this. The only way I know if you enjoy this or not is give it a like, subscribe to my channel, comment on it. Let me know if you like more like this, if you want to see the process. If you want to talk to me, my contact information is everywhere, so contact me. If you want to become a QA automation engineer, an SDET, software engineer in test, let me know. Check out my programs. You can work with me one-on-one. I do one-on-one coaching and I have courses and community and everything. So all that is going to be in the description. Make sure you check that out. And if you want to see more fixing bugs, I'm literally, I think, going to have time to keep recording, but apparently too long of a videos are not good, so I'm going to break it into 2 videos. Also, let me know if I had continued in the same video for the next set of bugs. Okay, so I will see you on the next one.